All right, man. Last topic, man. And this one should be a good one. And this one we got to approach it very maturely, right? And this is the thing about me. I'm an open book. I'm transparent, but I like to be able to speak my mind. And I think if you have friends, and all of your friends and all of your family not going to think like you, and y'all not going to have the same upbringing most times, especially your friends. And you meet them along the way, but the way when you become a friend of somebody, the way to be a really good friend is you got to be able to be honest. I can be honest and respectful. Like you can't be honest and then disrespect me in your honesty. You know what I mean? Like, you know what I mean? If you want to tell me my baby's ugly, that's fine. Be honest, but be respectful on how you tell me the baby is ugly. You get what I'm saying? Like, I want the honesty, but be respectful, right? So, and that's what we got to do when we're dealing with differences. When we're dealing with gender differences, age differences, upbringing differences, race differences, right? When you got all these differences amongst friends, associates, and all that stuff, you got to be honest, right? So I should be able to say the baby's ugly, and now I'm not talking about a real baby. I'm talking about the situation being the baby. If the baby's ugly, I should be able to tell my friend, my associate, my coworker, my business partner, anybody I got a relationship with, I should be able to come to you and tell you the baby's ugly, right? And I shouldn't have to beat around the bush when I tell you that. You know, I shouldn't have to say, the shoes are cute. I like them Jordans. Nah, I'm going to tell you the baby's ugly, right? Whatever the case may be, right? I say all that to say this. In a situation like this with Angel Reese and the media, and I'm not even going to say Caitlin Clark, because Caitlin Clark and Angel Reese don't have an issue with each other. They competed. They don't have to be the best of friends. They respect one another as athletes and peers. They've said multiple times, there's no ill will. I have no hate for that girl. She's an amazing player. They both say that. I love the fact that they hugged at the end of the game, all that stuff. I love it. They competed, right? But the media turned it into so much more. The fans turned it into so much more, right? So to understand all of that, we kind of got to go back to last year, right? I'm going to play you what Emmanuel Acho said that I think was kind of ignorant. I'll play you what he said. And a lot of people is liking this sound bite and sharing it because there's a lot of people that think like him. And I'm going to play what he said, and then we're going to go back to get some understanding on this thing. But what I said at the beginning is the real deal, man. We're going to have a real conversation, right? And if there's someone that's a non-black that watches this, I'm not trying to offend nobody or nothing like that. You know, let me know. Call the baby ugly if it's ugly. Go in the comment section. You can, whatever the case may be. If I'm off with this, let me know. Keep me honest, right? But here we go.
About to give a gender-neutral, racially indifferent take. Now, if you want to say, well, Acho, cater your take based upon gender, Acho, cater your take based upon race, I will understand that. But I'm about to give a gender-neutral, racially indifferent take. Angel Reese, you can't beat a big bad wolf, but then kind of cry like Courage the Cowardly Dog. Because if you want to act grown, which she has, if you want to get paid like you grown, which you are, if you want to talk to grown folks like you grown, which you did post-game when you told a coach for an opposing team, watch your mouth. If you want to tell people, get your money up, then post-game when you take an L, you just got to take it on the chin. Nobody mourns when the villain catches an L. And Angel Reese, you have self-proclaimed to be the villain. Shout out to you, because you were the second best basketball player on the court, and it was not close. Outside of Caitlin Clark, it was you. 17 and 20, dog. Showed up, biggest game, second biggest game of your career. Absolute dog, but you can't under any circumstance go to the podium and now try to ask for individuals to give you sympathy. No one has sympathy for the villain. You painted the bullseye on your back. Why are you surprised when people shoot at you? So if you want to act grown, if you want to pose grown, if you want to talk grown, if you want to talk to grown folks grown, then you got to take the L like you grown. Because what frustrated me is when you want to be the villain, but you want to hope for sympathy like a hero.
On the same.
All right, so he said villain a lot. Right, that's a word we go pay attention to. He said villain a lot. He said a lot of things. He said can't a lot. You can't do this. On one hand, you can't do this, and then on the other hand, do this. Can't. I keep hearing this word. You can't do this. You can't do this. You can't cry. You can't do this. So that they're setting a precedent because you did this. That means you can't do this. You're the villain. You want sympathy. You was the big bad wolf. You made yourself the villain. You painted a target on your back. You know, all of this stuff, man, you know, yada, yada, yada. We've heard all this. So let's break it down, right? But let's go to the beginning first. So how did all this start and how we understand this? Well, if you remember last year, Angel Reese, LSU, had a good season. They had a good year. Angel Reese was getting a lot of notoriety. She was getting a lot of attention. The first time I seen her last year, I remember her playing defense and defending a play, and then her shoe came off, and then you know, somebody drove the lane, and while her shoe was in her hand, she picked her shoe up, and when the ball came back toward her, she blocked the shot out of bounds with her shoe off and in her hand. And then she got kind of excited. She got fired. You know how when you make a play, you flex. I can't remember exactly what she did, but so I was like, man, who's this girl right here playing defense like that? I like that. Like, you know, I like anybody that play basketball that really takes pride on the defensive end. So when I seen that, and I was like, oh man, this is a young lady that's taking pride in defense. I like that. Right. So that's the first time I seen her. First time I seen Caitlin was the year before last. Where she went off on a game where she knocked down a lot of threes. You know what I mean? So I kind of knew about both of those girls, but I knew about Caitlin first. Right. So they pop on the scene last year. They both having a good season. And there's nothing really bad going on. I see that Caitlin is having really good games, and Caitlin is fired up. She's a fiery type female, right? And we like that. She's a crowd pleaser. She taunts her opponents. She screams at the crowd. She yells. She pumps her chest. You know, she does all of that type of stuff, right? And there's nothing wrong with that. We like that, right? So that's Caitlin. That's what she does, right? Now in the tournament, Caitlin is playing really well, and they playing a really good South Carolina team, and they have a girl on there that can't really shoot. And I never forget where every time the girl got the ball at the top of the key, Caitlin would not guard her. And a couple of times she looked at her when she got the ball, and if you can see right here, she's waving her hand at her like, she's self-checked. I don't even have to get out there. And we just thought that was just it was the funniest. Oh my God. We thought it was the cutest thing in the world. The cat's meow. You know, oh man, just wave her off. I ain't got to guard her. This is stuff she's doing in the middle of the game to her opponent, right? No one had any issues with it, right? Right. Then she did the John Cena, you can't see me. She did that against a team or opponent in the tournament. And I never forget, in the championship game, in the national title, LSU versus Iowa, when LSU won, Angel Reese did it back to her. And when they asked her about it after the fact, I think she mentioned that she didn't like it when she seen her do it to her opponent the game before or 2 games before. So she made sure, when I beat you, I'm going to do it back. So it's taunting, right? Angel Reese taunts. Caitlin Clark taunts. Angel Reese gets fired up. Caitlin Clark gets fired up during the game. Caitlin Clark also taunts her opponent. You can't shoot. You're a self-check. I'm not going out there. This is normal stuff. No one had an issue with it. The only issue happened when Angel Reese did the John Cena to Caitlin Clark. So this is where the issue starts. Before that, there was no issue. Nothing that Angel Reese did bothered the media so much to where they started talking about her in a negative way. Nothing that Caitlin Clark did bothered the media so much where they started talking about her in a negative way. Nothing. So the issue started at the national championship game when LSU had decided the game and won, and Angel Reese gave her the John Cena right back at her and pointed to her finger saying, put a ring on it, right? Put a ring on it. And that's when the issue started. That's when everyone started talking about how classless she was, how of a piece of shit, how much of a piece of shit she was, and all of these things, right? This is coming from professionals. They're tweeting this out on their platforms, right? This is the owner of Barstool Sports, Dave Portnoy. He didn't like the fact he retweeted Sports Center's put a ring on it with Angel Reese, called her a classless piece of shit. Look at the bottom and you see 79.4 million views on that tweet. 79.4 million. I remember the night when he tweeted this, and I read under some of those comments, and they were bad. But the reason why I won't show those comments, because those comments was mostly from regular fans who don't have blue checks, who don't have huge platforms like Barstool Sports, who wasn't professionally trained by ESPN like Dave Oberman, right? So I'm just going to talk about the blue checks. This is someone who knows he got a reach, who knows he has a huge platform and a huge voice, and knows that when he tweets this out, a lot of people that think like him is going to see it, and that's going to set the tone. So this is Dave Portnoy, not no regular dude, classless piece of shit, right? Why is it classless? Why is that classless and this not classless? Why is this not classless? Right? Explain to me why it's not classless. If one is classless, then the other one is. If one is not classless, then the other one is not classless. So, I mean, you got to call it fair across the board. So when you start seeing the same type of things go on with different players, they're doing the same type of things. They're both taunting. They're both playing with fire. They're both throwing hand gestures up. In most cases, the same hand gesture. When both of the athletes are doing that, what is the only thing that's different that'll make someone say, well, this one is okay, but this other one is not okay? You got to ask yourself that, right? You got to ask yourself why a professional that used to work at ESPN like Keith Olbermann, who still has a huge platform, if you look down at the bottom, that's 35.1 million views on this tweet. He retweeted the same Sports Center post. What a fucking idiot. So now I'm a piece of shit, and I'm a fucking idiot. And this is within an hour of the championship game. This probably before she even got back out of the shower. All right, she's a classless piece of shit and a fucking idiot from two professionals, right? But it don't stop there. Right? So it doesn't stop there, because what happens when you get to the national championship and win, it is customary and traditional for the White House to invite the winning team for a visit. That's supposed to happen. NBA, NFL, college, they invited. So not only is people with big platforms like Keith Olbermann pissed off and calling her idiots, effing idiots, so unprofessional. They're not trying to be professional. They're trying to be offensive. Dave Portnoy, piece of shit, POS, right? This is what they're saying. And these are high profile people. How high can it go? How mad are you? Who's all mad? Why are these people this mad to where they're saying offensive things in offensive language because of a hand gesture, but it wasn't offensive when someone on the other side did it. Why are they mad? Why are they triggered? What pricked their heart? You have to ask those questions. What triggered you? What got you in your emotions and your feelings? It's a basketball game. Why were you emotionally invested enough to where the letdown of them losing and then getting it rubbed in their face that they lost angered you so much and triggered you so much? You have to ask yourself that. I think I know the answer, but people have to ask themselves that question. Why did I get so triggered? What am I mad about? You got to look yourself in the mirror. What am I mad about? And why wasn't I mad when Caitlin Clark was doing the same thing? Why not? Right? You have to ask those questions, right? But how high does it go? Can it go all the way to the White House? Well, here's the first lady.
So I know we'll have the champions come to the White House. We always do. So, we'll have LSU come. But you know what? I'm going to tell Joe, I think Iowa should come too, because they played such a good game. So, right? So winners and losers, that's sportsmanship. That's good sportsmanship.
So it caught the attention of the first lady of the United States of America. And she goes out and said, you know what? We usually invite the winners, but this year I want to do something different. Let's invite Iowa too, because they played a good game. I want you to sit down and just let that sink in. We want to invite Iowa because they played a good game. Why do you think that the first lady seeing the losing team and got involved where I'm going to invite them to the White House with the winners? They don't even feel like, they don't even give the winners a feeling like they actually won. They might have been looking forward to that White House visit. Now it don't mean nothing to them because, hey man, we didn't even have to win to get an invite. And if we would have lost, we got an invite. Do you think if LSU lost, they was going to invite them as well? And she said that they played such a good game, they got beat by double digits. It was a blowout. It was like 102-85. Right? They got beat pretty good. So that good game that she's talking about, I don't know what she's talking about. Right? So you got to ask yourself, do you think she invited them because they really played a good game? Or do you think that just like Oberman and just like Portnoy, that when they sing Angel Reese taunting Caitlin Clark, that her heart got pricked? Do you think that the first lady felt emotionally connected to Caitlin Clark? And the answer is probably yes. And for Dave Portnoy and for Oberman, the answer is probably yes. So this is what I think happened. What I think happened is, just like all humans do, they connect with people that they can relate to. So if I see someone in the NBA right now that's from my hometown, I'm probably going to feel connected to them. I got a good friend, a good Army friend, that we used to talk about Michael Jordan and LeBron James all the time. And he would always tell me LeBron is this, LeBron is that. And he's from Ohio. And we would get in deep arguments about LeBron and Michael Jordan. And one day he was honest with me, was like, I'm going to just be honest. When he said, I'm just a kid from Akron, when he won that championship in Cleveland and he had tears in his eyes, my friend told me he had tears in his eyes as well because he felt it. And he said he's emotionally attached to LeBron James. So he can't even see clearly because of the connection he got with LeBron just by them being close proximity and being from around the same area. So when you're someone in a high profile position, it's hard to cut that human element. You need training. I've been trained in it. It's hard to cut that human element off to where you're connecting to things where you're easily being biased. So the first lady looked at a young white lady in America and was able to see herself in her easier than she could see herself in Angel Reese. Dave Portnoy another white American. Keith Olbermann, another white American. When they see this, and it's not often we get to see a young white American in the sport of basketball, male or female, come in and dominate like this great athlete, Caitlin Clark can. So when you get one, you kind of get connected to them. Though, you know, my white friends, they get connected to it, which is fine. Because if it was a white dominated sport like maybe hockey, and we had one black guy in there, I think even with NASCAR, even with tennis and with golf, people get connected to Tiger just because he's black, right? So it's easy to do that if you're human, if you allow it to happen. But what you can't allow, it's fine to have a connection with them, but what you can't allow to happen is that connection to make you start to be biased and then make you start to be overly emotional, because that connection, what happened is when they seen Angel Reese taunting her and it hurt her feelings, and they got to see her in defeat be taunted by Angel Reese, an arrogant, bigger, hood black girl. Oh no, we can't allow this to happen. And that's why the backlash was so nasty. That's hate. What Angel Reese is doing is at the worst poor sportsmanship, at the worst. But at the least, it's just a regular taunt, just like anybody else would do when they're in competition, right? Just a regular taunt. So let's move it on to this year. Now, Angel Reese get a rematch against Iowa. Iowa wins. Caitlin Clark plays very well. Angel Reese played okay. Angel Reese cries at the podium. And that's when we get this soundbite. Ocho saying, "You can't cry. Because you did this." Let me see if I can find this. "Because you did this, you can't cry. Because you did John Cena, you can't see me. You can't cry. Because when everyone start calling you pieces of shit, when everybody start calling you fucking idiots, and you had to put on that hard exterior shell to keep yourself from breaking down, because for a young 20-year-old, I mean, these is coming from grown 50-year-old men that's supposed to be professional and supposed to be elders and supposed to be showing us, how to be professional. You're coming out of your box or your professional box and you're doing stuff like this where you can't take it back. That's in the cyber world forever, right? You coming at a 20-year-old like this, all because she was talking to another 22-year-old about put a ring on it, we won. I'm taunting you. I'm rubbing it in. Right? So the 50-year-old got so mad that he had to come to her protection in this type of way. Right? So Ocho, or whatever, Emmanuel Acho is saying, because you did this, you cannot then cry a year later. You did this last year, so you can't cry. I don't care what everyone said about you to you in the media or whatever. It was warranted, because he's saying, because you made yourself the villain, you have to accept all the bad stuff that comes your way. We have to allow grown men to say these things about you. You have to accept the fact that Jill Biden wanted to invite Iowa to the White House and didn't care if it offended LSU. You have to accept all this, right? And furthermore, even before the game, because before we get to her going to the podium and crying, before we get there, we got the LA Times article that had to be edited. This man tried to pick. I know what's going on, and we have to be careful not to let our emotions get to us, right? Because this is the same trick they use with Magic Johnson and Bird. It works really well, especially in America. You got a non-black, most of the times it's going to be a white man, white woman, who represents the goodness of America. Why? Because maybe it's something that they do that identifies with what the foundation of America is, like Larry Bird, blue collar, hard working, no nonsense, all of that type of stuff. Magic Johnson was the opposite. He was Hollywood. He was a big smiler. He wore fur coats. He was flashy. He had a flashy basketball game. His game was about style and all that stuff. And Bird was about hard work. So to put Michigan State and Indiana State against each other, oh man, they made so much money in the NCAA. And then they did the same exact thing. They sent one to Boston. Boston is the epitome of Larry Bird. Larry Bird fits that city so well, and Magic fits LA so well. What a home run for the NBA. And they pitted them against each other again. You got America versus the black villain. Somebody representing America versus the black villain. It always works. Where else we seen it work at? Well, we seen it work again with Caitlin Clark representing America and the villain. Remember that word, the villain of Angel Reese, the villain, the bad villain, right? We seen it work with Blue Lives Matter, Black Lives Matter. We seen it work with the NFL and Colin Kaepernick, right? That villain, it always works. Can we spin this to make some money? The NCAA was counting on this rematch, right? I think it broke a record, like 12.9 million. Watch that game. Huge ratings. They made a lot of money off this game, right? But you got to ask yourself, how does a writer write this? And this is not even the whole article. This is just a little excerpt of it, right? How does a writer write this and it get past the editor and gets published? If the editor didn't want it to be published, it was almost like, hey, let's throw some fuel in the fire to ignite it a little bit more, because we're going to have so many people watching this game, because you're going to have people watching this super mega star in Caitlin Clark. We can't wait to see her perform. But guess what? We also can't wait to see her get her revenge against LSU and send Angel Reese home packing and beat her and shut her up, right? That's why we're watching, right? So, hey, they put an article out like this. This isn't just a basketball game. It's a reckoning. Picking sides goes well beyond school allegiance. Do you prefer America's sweethearts? And this is the article that came out right before LSU played UCLA. Do you prefer the America's sweethearts, which was UCLA? This is they represent America, or its dirties, debutantes, milk and cookies, or Louisiana hot sauce? You got to be kidding me. And this is the stuff that Emmanuel Acho is telling Angel Reese, you have to accept this stuff, right? Because you put a target on your back. Well, this came out before she lost a game. This came out after she won the finals last year. So I'm trying to think, was she the villain when they sent these tweets out? Did she say she was a villain? What really happened is they start attacking her. And like I said, you can go read all these comments under these tweets and see all the attacks. She said she was getting death threats. I believe her, right? Because I seen some of them in these comments. I read some of these comments. It was some nasty people, right? So Emmanuel Acho is saying, nah, you deserve this and you should be okay with it and you should wear it. I'm not going to address none of the crazy stuff they were saying. I'm not going to address this LA Times story that came out last week before the UCLA game. I'm not going to address none of that, but you should be okay with it. You brought this on yourself, right? You can't do this and then do this, right? Now, you got to ask yourself, the two girls at the top that's crying. Why did these tears force Portnoy and Keith Olbermann to tweet these out? When they sing those tears at the top, it pricked their hearts. When they sing the tears at the bottom, it forced them to say, you can't cry when you was taunting before. So I don't know who made that rule that if you taunt, that you can't cry. Who made that rule and who's enforcing it? If you taunt, you can't come back and cry. Who made that rule and who's enforcing it? And why isn't it being enforced across the board? If you taunt, if you showboat, if you got too much passion, you cannot cry. That's what Emmanuel Acho is telling us, right? Then he said that when you lose, you have to wear it on the chin. Well, what did she do that didn't suggest that she's wearing it on the chin? Right? She waved bye-bye to a team before she played Iowa. That's her on the top waving bye to a girl that fouled out of the game that they beat last week. And then this is on the bottom when she fouled out and the Iowa girl is waving her back, giving her the same taunt. Poetic justice, the same way she did the Johnson and you can't see me to Caitlin Clark. And she said that I gave that to her because she did it 2 games ago or a game ago. Okay, that's cool. Now I was doing it to her. Poetic justice. You did it to somebody just like Caitlin did it to somebody a game before, and now I'm doing it back to you. Guess what she did after that? She laughed it off. You got me. Walked to the bench quietly, sat down, and watched the rest of the game. She fouled out. She didn't fuss at the refs. She didn't try to go at the girl that was taunting her or waving at her. She just went to the bench, right? And then what did she do after the game? Did she pull a Isaiah Thomas and walk off? No. She came down the line. She hugged Caitlin. She whispered something in her ear. She told us what she said to her at the press conference. She said, go win. This is what she's whispering in her ear, or at least what she said she whispered in her ear. Look at Caitlin smiling. It ain't like she whispering something bad in her ear. Those are real, genuine hugs that they're hugging each other with. If they had differences, they put them behind it looks like. So what is it about Emmanuel Acho seeing this and then prompt him to say that you're not taking the loss on the chin? She took it on the chin. The only thing she did that you say you don't like is cry at the press conference, which is not something that's not normal. This is something that a lot of girls do, especially when they're seniors or juniors that got they got conversations that need to be had. They got decisions that need to be made. Do I come back for one more year, or do I enter the draft? Right. So she's thinking about, do I enter the draft? She's thinking about, man, all these girls I've been going to battle with. Either I'm gonna leave them or I'm gonna come back, and it's hard. I don't know how. I haven't made my mind up. Right? It's a lot of things going through her mind. She just lost a game. She don't think she played her best. Right? She know what's coming from the media after this. She know what she's been getting from the media before this. They was already talking about what happened with this LA Times article. That she had to have one of her white teammates, Van Lith, go and speak to the media and speak on her behalf on how bad this is. The head coach had to talk about this. She talked about it so bad that that's the only thing that made them edit the article. Like, this is all before the game. She got a lot of emotions running through her, and you telling me that when you seen her cry, the first thing that came to your mind is you can't do that. Someone has to come and explain to me why she can't cry. She didn't fight. She didn't cuss Caitlin Clark out. She didn't taunt Clayton. Everything you're supposed to do when you lose, she did. Everything you're supposed to do when you lose, she did. She shook everyone's hand. She said nice things. She congratulated them. She went to the press. Like think about the things that people do in defeat that we've seen that we frown upon. We seen Cam Newton lose the Super Bowl and not come to the press conference. That's frowned upon, right? We seen people come to the press conference like LeBron James after they lost in the finals with a whole cast on his hand trying to show, oh man, we lost because I was hurt, right? That was frowned upon. We seen people like Isaiah Thomas not shake everybody's hand and walk out before the time was up on the court. That's frowned upon. We seen people try to get in people's face and fight. We seen people come to the pony and say the wrong thing. All right. We seen people arguing with the refs. She could have argued with the ref on that last foul because it wasn't even a charge. They gave it to her anyway. She could have complained about that. She could have came to the podium and complained about the refs. She didn't do none of that. The only thing she did in your eyes that was wrong was cry and tell people, I'm emotional because it's been a lot going on, death threats, things of that nature. And you telling her that she's not allowed to have the range of emotions go through her. She's not allowed for that. Just think about, just sit back and think about it. And I know Emmanuel Acho is a hot take artist, and he got. I mean, he's probably got how many buttons he can push with this take in mind when he put it out there. He's not on the show actually speaking real thoughts most of the time. Most of the times, this is, hey, look, man, I'm doing this for TV. So I get that part. But the crazy thing about it is you motivate other people who actually really think like that. And that's what makes it really crazy. I really need to know if I'm off base with this. In the comment section, somebody tell me what is wrong with her crying and why it's not wrong for Caitlin Clark to cry. They both cried after they lost. They both taunted before they lost. They both taunted during the game. They both did the John Cena. I need to know why there's no huge platforms calling Clayton a POS or calling Caitlin a effing idiot or doing hit pieces on her and her team on a huge platform like LA Times. I want to know if the first lady is going to invite the losers of the national championship this year. Like I need answers on all of that. I need to know what Caitlin, or not Caitlin, I need to know what Angel Reese did wrong. Like seriously, like after the game last night, what did she do wrong by going to the podium and having a range of emotions that's normal for a human being to have? This excuse that you made yourself the villain, miss me with that. That's tired. That's tired. She didn't make herself a villain, and even if she did, who cares? You telling me it excuses this? It excuses that? It excuses that? You telling me it excuse all that stuff? And it's more. It excuse death threats. Like it really explaining it. Like, tell me how those dots connect. Well, since you taunted Caitlin, all of this stuff is authorized and okay, and you got to accept it. And then you also got to tell me, why are you so emotionally invested? Why did it hurt you and prick you so much to see Caitlin get taunted? Why is she off limits? Those are all questions that need to be answered. But that's all I wanted to say on the matter. I think it's a situation that is unfortunate. I don't have a dog in the race. My emotions are not attached to it. But I do observe a lot, and I see a lot of I see a lot of people missing the mark with it. Seriously, like you know, they can't seem to take their mind off of the fact that this is warranted because she taunted Caitlyn last year. Like no one ever forgave her for that. But I just want to know, why was you hurt? Why was you hurt by it? Like why be hurt that a player got taunted? Why couldn't it just be, oh, they competing? I probably wouldn't have done that. I probably wouldn't advise my daughter to do it, but it is what it is. There's no easy way to navigate this, right? So I just end it. I end it. So that's I mean, that's the show for today, man. I don't know how well I discussed this at all. I don't even know if I aired. I don't know how well I discussed this, but it's my true thoughts though. It's my true thoughts on as much as what I can see from it. So I don't know. Y'all let me know what y'all think in the comments. I'll catch y'all on the next episode.